Welcome back to another Mayor's Hour, Jack. Both you and I have been traveling a lot in the last week or so. It's always good to be home.
You better believe it. No matter how far you roam, there's no place like home or something like that.
It is, and we are we've got the privilege today to be at what I think is one of Tampa's finest medical institutions. It is the James A. Haley Veterans Hospital, which provides service for those men and women who have served this country so admirably, both in the current conflicts as well as many of our veterans going back decades to the greatest generation. I mean, it really is something in this community that we should be very, very terribly proud of. And I'm looking forward to a great show. We're going to get a chance to see some of the really cutting edge stuff that they're doing here.
This is a magnificent facility that's been around for quite a while. It's expanded dramatically over the past few years. And unfortunately, we've had the need for it, and we'll continue to have that need. But it is really exciting. I mean, as we walk through the halls, that we're walking among real heroes here today. And it's just great that here, that we have a facility like this that can do so much for them in their recovery and their rehabilitation. And it's just a tremendous, really, it's an honor to be here. I got really excited when I saw that you had picked this for the Mayor's Hour.
Well, and you're absolutely right. You know, as we walk the halls of this, we get to see men and women who serve this country. Some of whom at great risk to themselves, all of whom gave something, and many of them have been injured in the line of duty. And we're going to get to see some of the amazing technology that's being deployed here, particularly in the aftermath of the Iraq and the Afghanistan conflicts, where IEDs were causing traumatic injuries. The young men and women were surviving, but they were surviving with pretty traumatic amputees and traumatic brain injuries, and the doctors and the staff here are really doing some cool stuff that we're going to get to see.
Oh, I know. This really is going to be an exciting program, I think. And again, we are among heroes, and it's something that Tampa can really be proud of, and they don't know much about it unless you know somebody here or have somebody here.
Well, stay with us. We're going to be right back with the Executive Director, Kathleen Fogarty, another fine Irish lass, I may add.
Oh, my.
And,
oh, my.
Stay with us. This is going to be a great show.
Johnny, you're making me proud. That's a good thing. Let's fight to the death, all right?
Jack, we're back. We are at the Haley's Veterans Hospital, and we are with the person who's in charge of this amazing institution. Her name is Kathleen Fogarty. Welcome to the Mayor's Hour.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out today and enjoying our hospital today.
Well, you have a big responsibility. This is a huge physical plan, but more importantly, what you do is so important. Tell us a little bit about what this facility does, you guys are multifaceted.
We are honored to serve our veterans, as 89,000 is how many veterans we take care of the 207,000 veteran population here in the Central Florida area, Tampa area. We have 4 counties that we serve, so not a huge county between Hillsborough, Hernando, Pasco, and Polk is our last county in the south. So this is our medical center. It is what we call the busiest of the polytrauma centers. So what we do here is a little different than other VAs, where we have 30 active duty service members here that have served in this present war, and rehabilitation is what they come here for, both spinal cord injury and in our polytrauma, so multiple injuries within that polytrauma center. That's what we're building. Addition on our back side of the campus is a new 56-bed polytrauma state-of-the-art facility that will be dedicated about 6 months, right about the 1st of 2014. We'll move into that new building. It has an aquatic center, which I'm very pleased to tell you that's one of those areas that those that are newly injured really find it very therapeutic to get in the water. We'll have one huge Olympic-sized pool, and then another pool who has a treadmill that lowers them down and can do the rehabilitation from that standpoint.
I remember when you opened the spinal cord injury center out in back here then, and I know it was getting pretty crowded then, but that was one of, I think, what, only 2 in the country at the time?
Well, there's probably 13 in the country now, spinal cord injuries. This is a 100-bed unit that was dedicated with Michael Billaracas' name, dedicated to him. And the Polytrauma Center sits on top, almost integrated, as we've talked about. We're pretty landlocked here, and so the way to go is up with us. So we've put that Polytrauma Center on top of the existing spinal cord injury center. So we'll have 156 beds on that part of the campus. I think one of the things that veterans tell us each and every day coming to this campus is parking. It is a major dissatisfier, but we're pleased to tell you that last year we opened a 1,501 parking garage right on the across from the new Polytrauma entrance, and that has really improved our access into the hospital as well as our valet service that continues.
Now, Kathleen, who is eligible to be treated here? I've walked down the halls and I've seen vets from World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Iraq, and probably Afghanistan. Is anybody who has served in the military able to be or eligible to be treated here at Haley?
That's a question that it depends. When we say that, yes, we treat veterans from every era of conflict.
I'll see you here
That's
sometime.
right.
I'll come and visit you.
That's right. But many of our veterans will say, I don't know if I'm eligible for care, and we have an eligibility service right on our website that makes it easy to go in and see, are you eligible? Because there's things such as disability. If you had any kind of service connection that you were treated during the military, that would give you eligibility. Our prisoners of war are automatically treated for life, but there are others that within that. My father, who was a veteran, a Marine Corps, World War II, he said to me, I walked away without a scratch. Those are for those gentlemen that came with more. And I said, no, Dad, really, anyone who served has an ability to look to see if they're eligible for care. And I would encourage those in every era of service, especially as we reach out to our returning home veterans and our Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation New Dawn, because there's some eligibility that the veterans before them did not have, that they've extended their health care benefits for up to 5 years for that. So I really would encourage those that are just coming back to please go on our website and see if their eligibility, and we'd love to provide their health care. We believe it's the exceptional health care.
You know, having been out here so many times before 9/11 and before Iraq and Afghanistan, you've just seen such a huge change in what's happened in the people who come here because of the nature of that warfare. It was basically guerrilla warfare for the most part because of the IEDs and everything. And America is going to see so many amputees in the future, and of course you all deal with them first. You all are the ones that have to rehabilitate them, get them through this recovery period and get them ready to go back out again, and that's something that you just didn't see before 2000. It's really remarkable how your all's role has changed so dramatically here.
Absolutely. And there's never a soldier that we haven't taken care of, both men and women, who say to us, all I want to do is to go back to my unit, to go back to the fight. And that's what we want them to do if they have that ability, and many have gone back to their unit. There are several that are not able to go back, and it's for us to see that future, that ability to have a productive life through our rehabilitation. And I'm really pleased that Tampa will be sponsoring the 33rd National Wheelchair Games here in Tampa, July 13th through 18th. 600 athletes have registered, and I would just really encourage so many of our fellow Tampians to go see those games and really see the ability that you and I will just be blown away with their athleticism, their competition, their drive, just to show what you can do with the great work that we've done.
This program will be running sort of in the middle of that because we obviously record this before the month that it runs, but I know if you're seeing this early in the month, they are looking for volunteers too. We need volunteers desperately, people who are willing to go out and help these people.
3,000 volunteers is what we're asking for, and so that takes a village and a city and a township. I've asked anyone for their book club, their church group, kids over the age of 14. We have a lot of high school students that are looking for volunteer work, and any of those groups we would love to have, and I believe you'll get much more out of it than what you think you'll be volunteering for, because to see the athleticism in a rugby game, in a basketball game, in the slalom is unbelievably encouraging, and just to be a fan in the stands is what we're looking for.
Now, Kathleen, we got about a minute left in this segment. Tell us, because I don't think people realize, what is your relationship with USF?
Sure. USF is our partner in USF Medicine. We are their primary residence, and it is our mission of the Department of Veterans Affairs to train medical students and residents. We trained over 158 last year, but that's just medical residents. Those are future doctors, but it doesn't mean that our nurses have a great relationship with their School of Nursing, and we also have nursing students as well as physical therapy students as well as pharmacy students and dental students. So it is our mission here to train the future healthcare workers, and that's our relationship, very close relationship with the University of South Florida.
A great symbiotic relationship, as they say.
We're not only connected, as you saw out the front, we're connected by a bridge, which really shows the connection.
Well, Kathleen, thank you. Keep up the good work. Stay with us. We'll be right back. We've got some amazing stuff to show you. Jack, welcome back. We are here at what I think is one of the most fascinating parts of the Haley Veteran Center. And this is where a lot of the rehabilitation work takes place on some of our vets who are coming back, particularly from Iraq and Afghanistan, with some pretty traumatic wounds. Joining us today is Dr. Kevin White, who is part of the faculty at University of South Florida, but deployed here at Haley's Veterans Hospital full-time. And your training is in what?
My name's Kevin White. My training is here in physical medicine and rehabilitation and spinal cord injury medicine.
Okay.
And you work for, obviously, the Haley Center full-time, as well as with USF and the doctors group and everything. You're a multitasking fellow.
Absolutely,
for sure.
yes. I'm full-time here for the spinal cord injury department, but also I do teaching at USF. And so I work at both departments for that.
This is really a remarkable place, and really a product of all of the new technology that's out there that we've seen really develop since the Afghanistan and Iraqi wars, isn't it?
Absolutely. This facility actually was started in 1972 and was part of the original hospital. When it first started, there was 42 beds, but it's grown over time. In 2002, this building here was reconstructed for spinal cord injury and to take on 100 beds. And in 2009, it was rededicated to the microbiliary spinal cord injury unit and center. We have 100 beds, and we see patients from the moment they're injured all the way to for the rest of their lives.
Well, you know, it's interesting because what we have seen during the course of these conflicts is, I mean, the equipment is so good, the body armor is so good, the response time to that golden hour, if you will, is so good because we can get these guys out of the battlefield situation and get them treatment within that hour. But the problem is the wounds are so traumatic oftentimes, particularly with some of the amputees and the traumatic brain injuries because of the nature of the weapons that are being used against us, that your business, unfortunately, is pretty busy.
Absolutely. Since 2003, we've seen over 100 active duty soldiers here, and in the past 2 years, we've seen over 22. And we see them from blast injuries, gunshot wounds, rollover accidents and motor vehicle accidents, falls. We see just the whole spectrum. And we see them whether they're injured over in Iraq or Afghanistan, but we also see them injured here too. And we cover everything. Part of our job is to make sure we're meeting their needs and providing the best care possible, which is providing their rehabilitation, and that rehab starts day one. One of the things we notice with these new guys is that they want to hit the ball running on day one. They want to get in, do rehabilitation, and one of their questions is, Doc, what more can I do?
Yeah, when can I get back to my unit?
When can I get back to my unit? They do maybe 3 hours of therapy at one point. They want to know, what's next? What else can I do? And that's part of our job, is to provide that next thing for them. And one of the things we've done is provided as an exoskeleton. And it's something that actually developed because of the war. A few years ago, one of the companies was trying to find out how they can offload some weight for some of the soldiers out there.
I need to offload some weight.
They,
About 10 pounds, my
think
wife will
that
tell you.
exoskeleton's
But
gonna do the
that's
trick
not going to
for
help
you.
me, is it?
well,
If I strap that on, will 10 pounds come off?
No, it wouldn't help you for that. But
Thanks a lot, Doc.
But they wanted to offload weight for them. And so it was a robotic system that can help them going up and down, climb mountains or anything else, different terrain, and up to 150, 200 pounds. And that technology kind of developed to spinal cord injury patients. How can we help them be able to walk even if they can't use their legs?
So wait a minute. This equipment was developed so that soldiers would not have to pack as much stuff, and that this piece of equipment would do it for them?
That's exactly how it started initially.
Wow.
We call it wearable bionics, or an exoskeleton. And it was initially started because of that, and then developed to other benefits for spinal cord injury patients.
And that's remarkable. The technology, thank God for the technology we have
Absolutely.
today, because you've seen, and we talked about this with the director, such a dramatic change in the kind of patients that you're dealing with and the kind of trauma that you're dealing with over the past 10 years or 13 years since 2000, particularly after 2003 and 2004 in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Absolutely.
Because of the IEDs and the nature of guerrilla warfare. It's just not like the old days you go out and you were shot in the arm or shot in the leg or something like that.
Yes.
It's these IEDs that are serious brain injuries, and at the same time might lose a leg or an arm or something like that. And we're seeing so many amputees and so many people who do suffer severe spinal injuries as a result of those things today.
Definitely. The injuries are much more complex. Instead of just a spinal cord, they have an injury. They have a spinal cord injury with a brain injury with multiple fractures. We've seen some injuries where they get fractures from their legs and every bone on their body all the way up into their spine. So they have pelvic problems. Again, if they want to walk, they have problems with fractures in their legs, spinal cord injury, and everything that comes along with that, with bowel and bladder, and skin issues. And the injuries have been much more complex, and they've changed from one war to the next. In the beginning, there were more gunshot wounds, and then there became more blast injuries, and the type of blast injuries changed over time. And at the last part of the war, we started seeing more gunshot wounds again. And so we had to be flexible to adapt to take care of all of these patients' needs.
And tell us, we've got about 2 minutes left in this segment, Doctor. Tell us what the role of the therapist is in this process.
The therapist is integral in this process, whether it's physical therapy, occupational therapy, recreational therapy, speech. They all play a significant role because of the complex injury. And part of physical therapy is helping them with their mobility in their legs, or be able to get around as much as possible, whether it's in a wheelchair, if they can use part of their legs, whether walking or augmented equipment, using that, the exoskeleton. If there's the upper extremity, the occupational therapy will help more with hand function, with getting back in terms of their activities of daily life. And recreational therapists helping to get them back out into the community. And that's our ultimate goal, is to get them out in the community and working, or going back to school, being with their families. Speech and cognitive therapy as well.
Yeah.
Because of the combination of brain injuries and difficulty speaking and other things that may come along with their injuries.
You know, we've been talking about the wheelchair games out here. In reality, the wheelchair games are going to be kind of a showcase for the outstanding work that you and all of the people you work with have done, I think. Absolutely. I mean, to show how well these folks have rehabilitated and how they've just adapted and become skilled at doing things that they want to do, that they're now capable of doing.
Absolutely. We have a very strong adaptive sports program here, and we actually have a model that's developed throughout the country. And our adaptive sports program has done things in basketball, quad rugby, tennis, swimming, diving, archery, shooting, just about everything you can imagine, bowling, yoga, anything out there, our team has done. And it's exactly like you said, the wheelchair games are a showcase of everything that is possible for these guys.
That's great. Well, Doctor, thank you. Keep up the good work. If you're watching this before the wheelchair games, we need you to volunteer. So find out what the number is. Actually, if you want to call my office, we'll get you the number. Go volunteer to help out. It's an amazing, life-changing experience, and you'll get to see real courage in action. We're going to get to see the exoskeleton. Is that what?
Yes, the exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton with Mike Vale, a young Army vet, and I think he's going to put that on and show us how that works in just a minute. But bear with us. We'll be right back. Jack, we are back with one of America's heroes, Corporal Mike Vail, who is going to show us what this contraption looks like. They keep threatening to put me in it. Even Mike suggested I could probably use it, but this is an amazing thing. So Kevin, tell us what we're looking at here.
So this is the exoskeleton. It's called the Exo. It's one of multiple exoskeletons out there. There's the WeWalk, there's HAL, there's the Vanderbilt exoskeleton, and all of them are doing the similar things. So the goal of it is to allow a paraplegic person to be able to walk and stand on gravity, on ground. And so they can put all their weight into that exoskeleton and to use very minimal exertion to be able to walk. They can walk at different speeds. It takes usually around up to 5 minutes in order to get strapped in. For someone new, if they've been using it for a while, it's a lot quicker.
But this was initially developed for just the soldiers. I mean, the kind of technology we see here, just to make them a little faster, a little better able to deal with heavy equipment and things like that.
Yes, initially developed so they can offload their weight. And it's evolved over time to this. And this is really the beginning stages of it. Right now, when they first learn how to use this, they're in a walker using it. And two therapists, here we have Mike Firestone and Will Haven helping them out right now. And the therapist will stand behind them and also in the beginning control the exoskeleton and the movement behind it. And as he progresses to crutches, as John Vail, Mike has done. And then ultimately, he'll be able to use it on his own. And the equipment is designed to allow therapy to start day one when they're injured. They can start right away, and they can keep using it until they complete their rehabilitation. The ultimate goal is to be able to use this at home.
Yeah.
And that's our goal that we've been pushing for. There's some equipment out there that's starting to be used for home, and that's some of the research we want to do now is how do we get to that next level. Ultimately, we don't know the full benefit of it in terms of whether it would improve their bowel function, their bladder function, improve their bone health, their musculoskeletal strength, and minimize any atrophy. One thing that we've learned from transplants, like hand transplants, is that what they need is therapy all day long for at least a year with hand transplants and for it to work. And we don't know the benefits of this if they are walking 8 hours a day, combining therapy here, combining therapy at home, and doing this for a year or years. What exactly would be the benefits? We don't know, and that's some of the things we want to learn.
This is so new. We don't even know how well it will work or what it will do.
Yeah.
Now, Mike, do you live here in the Tampa area? I mean, are you from here originally?
I'm originally from Mississippi.
Okay. And you've come down here to Tampa for the treatment at the Haley's?
Correct.
Okay. Now, is your family here living with you? Or
No, they're not.
So you live on your own?
I have a best friend that's from the military that moved down here with me.
That's great.
What happened to you, by the way?
There was a Humvee, and it ejected me and then landed on me.
Oh, my. You know, that's the other thing people aren't aware of today. Because of the technology today, there's so many injuries in training. It's not like the old days because training has become almost as dangerous as being in combat. Because of, again, the incredible technology that's out there now to assist the military.
Definitely. We see injuries from every stage, whether they're in training, if they're in Afghanistan, if they come back over here in stateside, we see injuries. And there are 23 different centers throughout the country, spinal cord injury centers in the VA system, and all of them are equipped to handle spinal cord injury patients that are veterans or active duty soldiers. We happen to be one of the largest, and partially because we do have a polytrauma center here as well.
Yeah.
So we see more active duty soldiers than any of the other ones.
And the two go very close hand in hand, the polytrauma center, the need for that, along with the spinal cord injury.
Yes.
Yeah, that's,
All right.
I think he's
Strapped in.
Do I need to move?
in there.
No, I think there should be enough room for him to stand up. And so for right now, someone has to be between 5'2" and 6'2" to be able to get into this machine, and also weigh 220 pounds or less. but they're working on adjustable.
Yeah,
Machine
but
to be able
that
to
covers
handle it.
most
That
now.
covers most.
Yeah.
Want me to move, Mike, on your way?
Oh, no, you're fine.
Okay, ready to stand up?
Yeah.
John, we're gonna lean you forward first.
Okay.
It's a
Well,
nice-
and he's operating, what is that he's operating now?
So he's operating it now via remote, and the goal is for it to be on his crutches to be able to use it, and John or Mike will be able to use it.
Oh,
But
you've got
this-
the operations there on the crutches.
Once he stands.
Once he stands up.
Standing.
So we're gonna sit you up to 90 degrees first.
So long term,
John, you ready to
we'll be able to
stand?
do this even by himself, and to minimize any risk of falls.
Wow, that is amazing.
And we've had guys in this, whether they're new injured, he's been injured a little over a year,
Right.
but also some injured 11 years and even longer.
It's nice just to be out.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Boy, I'll bet. How long ago were you injured?
March 7th of last year.
Of last year, so it's been a little over a year.
Just over a
and
year.
A couple of months.
And, I spent, 4 or 5 months of that, in the hospital, so.
Yeah. And this has to be just great to be able to, like you say, be able to stand up and do things like that.
Yeah, there's something different about looking at people at wheelchair level versus looking eye to eye.
Right.
It just changes, and even for family and everybody around, it's different. And so that's part of the goal, is to do that and make it something that can be done in the community.
Being able to shake somebody's hand standing up
Sure,
is nice.
sure. And how mobile can you be on these? I mean,
I walk around the hospital for
Right.
therapy.
that's
Just
great.
Just
walk
anywhere.
around on your own and everything?
Well, my physical therapist goes with me,
Yeah.
and he just safeguards me from the back in case something.
Yeah, he's there just in case.
Right, right.
But you're able to do it all yourself.
I am.
Wow.
And you can control it from your handheld, from the,
Actually, after I start it, it actually recognizes my position and takes a step for me.
does it really?
So you start off with the button for every step,
Right.
and then it it progresses as you get better at it. And
That's great.
Can you take a couple of steps forward
Yeah.
here?
we ready?
Yep.
Oh, man. And he's just back there just in case,
Yeah.
right? I mean, he's not doing anything. You're doing all this yourself, Mike, huh?
It takes some getting used to.
That's what I was about to say, I'll bet.
Essentially you're balancing on something that you can't really tell is there. And that's it.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
That is. And you know that technology is going to be developed even further and further and further. And 10
definitely.
years from now, you won't even recognize that
Right.
today. They'll look back at that and say, "What, did you see that big old thing they used to have to wear?" And that's great.
Well, we're going to be right back. Corporal Vale, thank you.
And thank you for your service.
No
God
problem.
bless you.
Thank you.
Yeah. If you don't believe we're making a difference, you haven't been out to the Haley Veterans Hospital. You just saw it right there. His quality of life is going to be much better because of the technology and the treatment that he's getting right here. So stay with us. We'll be right back. Jack, that was an amazing segment that we just saw.
Oh, it was. What a remarkable young man, and what a remarkable machine. And again, to think what's going to happen in the next 5, 10 years with that kind of technology is amazing.
Well, I think what it points out is that, yes, these young men and women have been injured, but there's also a life after their injury.
Oh, yes.
And we're going to hear
Absolutely.
a little bit about the upcoming Paralyzed Veterans Wheelchair Games. That's it. What's the exact title? The
33rd
National
Veterans Wheelchair Games.
There it is. I knew. Yeah.
You
Thank
got
you.
it.
It took a Navy guy to get me straight.
Yes.
Joining us today is Davis Celestine,
Yes.
a former Navy veteran. who is also a participant in the games. And tell us a little bit. We're honored to be hosting these games. I mean, this is pretty
This is
significant
terrific
event,
for the Tampa Bay area, the whole Bay Area.
And so tell us what to expect. If you're not familiar with wheelchair games, what to expect?
It's going to be kind of a crash course where you're going to have anywhere from quad rugby, being a kind of a brutal sport, to basketball, softball, bowling, hand cycling. It's just a great atmosphere to watch the camaraderie with everyone that comes around, with the family members, with the cheerleaders that comes around, with the group. So it's quite an amazing opportunity for the community to come out and see what these guys and girls actually do on a daily basis.
And these teams will come from all over the country to compete?
All over the country, and we have 2 teams that come from Puerto Rico and Great Britain.
Now, do these teams represent different centers like this, or do they represent different states, or how are they set up?
Some represent different centers, and also we have local teams and local athletes that participate in these teams. And when they get to the wheelchair games, what happens is kind of break it up so they could get an opportunity to level the playing field, so you don't have too much advantage from different teams. So it's
And so what are you competing in?
I'm going to compete for the first time quad rugby,
Okay.
hand cycling, weightlifting, and bowling. And this year, the exhibition sport, which is water skiing, I'm going to be,
Water skiing.
yes, water skiing.
Water skiing.
How do you
Yes.
do that?
Well, we get into a little carriage with kind of a wakeboard, and it's like a harness. For me, I'm a quadriplegic, so they put a harness around me, and we go around the lake, and we have two coaches on the side tethering us just to make sure that we don't fall over, and we have hand signals that we use just in case that we have to disengage and come back around and get picked up.
And I can only imagine too, rugby's nasty without machinery around you, and you're going to have these wheelchairs and everything. That's got to be pretty rough from the scrum on.
Yeah,
So what kind of contact are you allowed to have in wheelchair rugby?
full contact.
Full contact.
That's
All
got
right.
to be nasty.
It's just a little bit of stress reliever.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah.
But the great thing has to be the camaraderie among the athletes, being able to get together with other athletes like yourself who have gone through similar situations.
In all aspect, what it is, it's you see the different levels, and you kind of help each other from your rehab standpoint, and you kind of put that into play to make them better athletes, to show them what they could actually do, show them the capabilities, and just the persistence to be better competitor and a better individual in the wheelchair.
Well, you know, the Army guys were talking trash about you Navy guys.
Well, we usually call them Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts, okay. They say they're going to clean your clocks, that you all don't stand a chance. And the Marines are even worse.
Yeah. So, like we said, we put them in a quad rugby chair and we see who's going to last.
Oh, that's got to be something to watch, especially if it gets to be any competition among the services.
Yes.
That'll be incredible.
Well, this will take place at the Convention Center downtown, right?
Yes.
And tell me again the dates, do you know?
It's July 13th through the 18th. It's all free.
Okay.
First. And we're still looking for volunteers to
Yes.
help us with this long endeavor for that week. And it's a great event to come out and see.
July 13th through the 18th, Davis?
Yes.
Tampa Convention Center, we need volunteers. If you're watching this before July 13th, do your part. Bring the kids, do whatever you can do to help out. This is going to be an amazing opportunity for Tampa to showcase its commitment to its veterans, but more importantly, to watch some amazing athletes, even if they are Navy guys, participate. So for all you Army, Marine, Air Force guys, this guy's talking smack. You need to bring your A game. We'll be back in just a little bit. Jack, we're back for another segment at the amazing Haley's Veterans Hospital. We just met with a paralyzed vet who's an athlete, a competitor in the wheelchair games that's coming up in July here in Tampa. But now we're in another key component of what takes place at this amazing facility. It's the Polytrauma Transitional Rehabilitation Facility. Did I get it right, Jay?
You remembered it.
I got it. This is Jay McCarthy who runs this. He's going to tell us a little bit about what we see here. It looks like a normal gym. but it's not a gym for you and I, Jack. It's
No,
a gym for some of our wounded veterans. So, Jay, tell us what we're looking at here. What is this facility?
All right, well, this facility, it's like you said, the transitional rehab program, and we've been in operation for about 6 years. We've been treating brain injury patients here at the VA for well over 20 years, but they realized years ago that there was a gap in service. So the transitional rehab program is a traumatic brain injury program that serves moderate to severe brain injuries, and it filled the gap before they were discharged from the rehab to home. So it's kind of like a bridge before you actually go home. And what that means is, in the main hospital in rehab, they may learn how to walk with a walker or how to eat or dress after their brain injury, but they don't know how to balance their checkbook or go grocery shopping or probably go back to school if they were working before and they can't do their same job from their injury.
And that's because they've lost the memory of how to do that as a result of the brain being jarred or wounded?
Absolutely. So they actually will have memory impairments. They may have physical disabilities. They may not. I was talking to a patient today. He basically told me, he said, Jay, you know, my short-term memory is so bad. Sometimes I drive to a grocery store, I turn off the car and I say, why am I here? So that's one example.
That happens to me too, for different reasons, but yeah.
Yeah. So this program, we try to reintegrate patients back into the community. So we have a full complement of rehab professionals. You have your PT, OT, speech, voc rehab, physicians, nurses, the whole gamut. But we just work on the next level of goals.
And so for a veteran that's been wounded, whether it's an IED, an explosion, a gunshot injury, they come here to you, right?
Correct.
And the physical wounds are treated elsewhere. But in this environment here, you're working on getting them back so they can become a more productive member of society and that they can leave here eventually and live independent lives.
Absolutely. We do work on the physical aspects, for example, the OT or the PT. But
What's
what I
OT
noticed,
and PT for?
OT is occupational therapy.
Right.
They may work on things like pre-driving education, or work on how to balance a checkbook, or the next level of goals. You know, in the traditional sense, OT may work on also like fine motor with their hand. Physical therapy in the hospital, they'll work on using a walker. Here, we're teaching them how to run, how to, you know, to go across streets. You know, so we're trying to reintegrate them back to real world living. So in our facility, we have 5 apartments. So we have 2 patients per apartment. They have, you know, Wi-Fi, flat screen. So we try to simulate what they would be like at home.
So back up. So you actually have 5 apartments for these patients to get acclimated to living on their own.
Absolutely, and they can be here on average about 3 months. But we individualize the treatment, so sometimes patients could be here up to a year.
Wow.
If the main goal of the program is to get patients back to work, back to school, or back to active duty, and or if they're not able to do any of those, just could be a volunteer experience or just to maximize their function in society.
And do their families come here as well to be with them?
Yes, families are a very large part of brain injury treatment. So we actually have what's called a Fisher House here.
Fisher House, yeah.
So the patient's families stay there during their acute rehab stay. And then while they're here, they stay here a few more weeks. And then we try to transition them home too sometimes because they need a break. Or we need to try to test the patient at that next level, see how independent they are.
What do they, you move them to the Fisher House?
Well, they actually, sometimes they live there for several months while they're in the main hospital, while they're in the acute rehab. But once the patients transition over to here, we try to we incorporate the families, but we try to transition them too. If their goal is to go back to active duty, you know, we want to maybe, you know, try to have the family members step aside too and see what the patient can do.
Yeah, this, again, that's phenomenal, and people, well, I guess families would understand perhaps, but families are so much an important part of this. And I remember when they first opened the Spinal Injury Center, they talked about that in the Fisher House, how important the Fisher House was as a part of that. So the families could be there and be with them, because that's the best rehabilitation you can get, is get them around their family and get them where they're familiar with those environments.
And these families have come from all over the country. These
Yeah.
aren't just Tampa families. These are lives that have been uprooted and disrupted, and so they are here in a strange city. They don't know anybody, but they came here to be with their son or daughter who's going through this.
Absolutely.
And the Fisher House, we might also add, we've talked about how people can volunteer for the wheelchair games, but the next time you have an opportunity to help the Fisher House, you can't imagine how great that facility is and what it does in bringing the families here and being able to keep them here so they can be used as part of that rehabilitation.
Absolutely.
So how many patients generally do you treat a year here?
Last year we had just under 30 patients.
Wow.
So since we've been in operation, we've treated about 150. The difference is we don't have as much turnover because, like I say, patients stay here a lot longer. If their goal is to get back into college, we've actually had patients enroll at USF, take a class, or take an online class. So depending on their goal and where they want to go, we can tailor that program for them.
And this, I mean, looking at the facilities here, it looks like something you'd find at LA Fitness or one of those places around there.
Yeah, I haven't been in one of those.
I don't want to go in one of those. I go by the building.
My wife keeps
about
trying to
it.
get me in one of those, but I'm not.
It's funny. But yeah, we take the patients, they work out here, but we also take them to the community. Like I said, they go to the YMCA every week because how they function here in this closed environment is different than how they're going to function, you know, out of the YMCA or out.
Also, you take them to the YMCA, it becomes part of it.
Absolutely. So yeah, we have a 10-seat van. It's a lot of community reentry. Today, they actually they're going to a grocery store. They go to Metropolitan Ministries locally. They volunteer. We try to, if some of the patients were motorcycle mechanics in the past, we try to simulate that. Once they get towards the end of the rehab, we take them out in the community and try to see how they do in a real-world job setting. You know?
Well, you know, looking at them from the time they incur the injuries, whether it's here or in Afghanistan or Iraq or wherever, I mean, the levels are amazing that you go from that, where obviously you have to have instant help, and then from there to Germany, and from Germany to Walter Reed, and then Walter Reed to a place like here, or here in particular, but this is kind of the final stop off before you're integrated back into life, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. And then it doesn't end there because rehab can take many, many years with these severe injuries. But what we do is if they live locally, we actually have a day treatment program too, so they can come back here and there for different types of treatment. So they're not just cut off.
And Jay, we have about a minute left in this segment. Do you find that many of the patients, the wounded vets that are here, end up staying here in the Tampa Bay area?
We've had a lot of people move back or move to this area. As a matter of fact, you met someone earlier today. That gentleman was in Miami, but he didn't have the exact treatment he needed, so he moved locally to kind of touch base with us and try to get to that next level. And the gentleman I'm talking about, he actually was living with his mom. His goal was, I want to live on my own. He moved back here. We set him up for a few months. Now he lives on his own in an apartment locally. So,
that's great.
So,
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing story. Dr. Scott was telling me, and he was telling me his story about how he was basically in an induced coma for 3 months at Walter Reed, and now he's doing great, living in West Shore on his own.
Yeah, we were talking about how long were you at Walter Reed? I don't know. I was
Yeah.
in a coma the entire time. So you go from that until you finally get here, and then start the real work of rehabilitating.
absolutely.
Well, keep up the good work. We're going to meet one of our amazing veterans here that's at Haley's, that's in Jay's program, and so I want you to bear with us and meet a woman who's just going to steal your heart, so stay with us. Jack, we're back. This, I think, is one of the highlights of the show where we get to see exactly the great work, the amazing work that is taking place here at the Haley Veterans Hospital. Joining us today is one of our new friends, Corporal Michelle Fulton, United States Army. And Michelle, we really wanted to tell the story of this facility. How has this place helped you recover from your injuries?
Well, it's helped me by allowing me to do what I need to do by myself, for myself. I get a chance to cook sometimes, and I go to the gym to work out, to lose weight. I can watch TV, and I can talk on the phone and relax in the bedroom when I want to.
How long have you been here?
I've been here for 4 months.
For 4 months?
Yes, 4 months.
And how do you see this program? How is this a valuable program for you? What has it done for you?
It's actually given me a chance to prove to the nurses and the therapists that I can do for myself, that I don't really need the extra help that they provide us with. I can do it on my own.
How do you like this place, this apartment, and
I
the
love
rest
this
of the
apartment.
facility?
It's great. It's great. I'm in here. I can do as I please, as long as I keep it clean, and go to my appointments when I need to. They don't give me any trouble.
Now tell us, Corporal, about a typical day in your life. I mean, what is it that, from the
What
time
I
you get
do?
up to when till you go to bed at night?
Well, I get up in the morning and I eat breakfast and shower, and then I go to my classes, my therapy classes. And then when I come back and it's all done, I either watch TV or I get on the phone for a little bit. My family might call me, so I talk to them, or my friends might call me. And then I go to the gym and work out for an hour, trying to lose weight, keep myself good, shaped up and everything and ready to go. And then I go eat dinner, which is usually 5:30 is when we have dinner. It's all for us to fix for ourselves. And we go in there individually. We don't have to have any help. And then once we're done eating and talking with each other, I usually come back to my room, sit down, watch TV here, or I get ready for bed.
Do you watch the Mayor's Hour on TV?
No. Unfortunately, I
come
don't.
on. I'll bet you will now.
Yes,
that
I
you're going to be
will.
on it.
You're going to be on it?
Yes, I will. I will be on it.
watching that.
Yes.
And you're from Fort Myers.
Yes, I'm from Fort Myers.
But
yes.
we were at Fort Benning when you were.
Yes, when I was hit, unfortunately, during my accident, I was in Columbus, Georgia, because I was stationed. Well, because I am stationed at Fort Benning, and then I got hit. A guy ran a red light, and there, I just got hit, and so I'm here now, doing a lot better. I mean, getting hit wasn't too much of a good thing, but it's doing me good now. Now that I'm actually here and trying to do things for myself, I'm doing a lot better.
Now, you had served 13 years in the Army.
Yes, 13 years. Yes, I almost. But unfortunately, I mean, I'm here now. But yes, 13 years, and I enjoyed it. I was deployed to Iraq 2 times, different occasions that we had to handle. But I enjoyed it, and then we went to Kuwait. I enjoyed that too.
And what was your specialty in the Army? I guess you had, what's it called, an MOS?
MOS,
Yeah.
Yes, 42 Alpha.
42 Alpha, you lost me there.
Resources.
Human resources, okay.
Yes, human resources specialist, yes. It was 71 Lima, but they changed it. So yeah, I enjoyed myself. I had a good time.
Well, I may be the only mayor in the country with a call sign.
Oh, okay. What's the call sign?
Swagger.
Oh, okay.
Swagger.
So you can call me Mayor Swagger from now on.
Okay, I can do that. Okay, that's fine. Mayor Swagger, I can do that.
How can anybody
you.
swagger with a tie on?
It's
Exactly.
quite the dichotomy.
Exactly. Okay.
Because I'm a frustrated fighter pilot at heart. So,
Okay.
But that,
Fighter pilot, okay.
But that didn't work out so well. So I have my DD-214 after 2 weeks in the Navy.
Oh, wow. Okay, 2 weeks. Okay, you got out.
Yeah, well, it wasn't by choice. They said I had a degeneration on one of my corneas, so
Oh, no.
they discharged me.
Oh,
so.
okay.
But anyway, so you're doing okay then?
Yes, I'm doing fine. I'm hoping they let me out and I can be with my children because
That's
I know
great.
they miss me being around.
Good.
So.
And how old are your kids?
I have a 6-year-old daughter named Journey, and I have a 12-year-old son named Isaiah.
I've got a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old. Now, you're much
Okay.
younger than I am.
Okay,
So-
yes, I am.
Oh, there we go. Hey, all right,
Yes, I am.
get her off this mayor down. We can't be allowing her to diss Mayor
Right.
Swagger. She doesn't even watch it, so why?
Right.
Well, Corporal, thank you for allowing us to come in.
Thank you,
and
thank
keep
you.
up the rehab. We're counting on you. I know your kids are counting on you too.
Yes, they are. Yes,
And,
they are.
This country appreciates your service.
Yeah, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
God
Thank
bless
you.
And tell everybody that the Mayor's Hour is the best TV show that you've ever
Your
seen.
hour. I sure will. I'll definitely tell them that.
It beats Duck
Thank
Dynasty.
you. Right? Yes. I'm sure it does.
What are you watching?
I know. I get it. Duck Dynasty. All right. We're going to be right back with a video to show you some of the amazing research that takes place out here that helps vets just like Corporal Fulton. So stick with us. Corporal, keep up the good work.
Okay, I
Proud
sure
of you.
will.
We'll be right back.
We specialize in rehabilitation outcomes research, which means we work with veterans who have different disabilities, such as spinal cord injury, polytraumatic injuries, traumatic brain injuries, and older adults who have functional impairments. And we work to find ways to help them regain function and kind of get their lives back after disability and become integrated into the community again. We have a series of laboratories in this building. This is one of our research laboratories, the biomechanics laboratory. This is set up to do a variety of studies. We have 3D motion monitoring abilities so we can see how people move in space and over time. Right now the lab is being set up to conduct a study to look at how older people who have gait and balance impairments recover from slips and trips. The idea being that if we can train them to recover from slips and trips better in the laboratory situation, then they'll transfer that same slip and trip recovery mechanisms out in the community should they have that occur. So our engineers here are building a contraption, if you will, that will slip and trip people, but they'll be safe because they'll be in a safety harness when they walk on this course, and they won't know when the obstacles are coming. But we've got there'll be a part of the floor that raises up to trip them. There'll be another part of the floor that slides away. There'll be another part that has an oily substance on it so they can slip. And the idea being that if you can measure their recovery mechanisms, you can train them to recover so that they don't fall to the ground, because we're really trying to prevent injuries in frail older adults. We cover quite a broad range of research, from what I call the basic, which is, this is an example in this laboratory, to more health services research, looking at outcomes in large databases that the VA has. We do informatics research, which means we're right now trying to look at all the data that are in our electronic medical records and how to make sense of the data that isn't in a code already. Because we have millions and millions of records, and we're trying to figure out how to turn those records into information that'll eventually help clinicians to treat veterans, more appropriately. We also have a group who do clinical trials, for instance. We have an exciting new program that'll be starting in October. We're partnering with the Gainesville VA hospital and to conduct more research in the general area of rehabilitation outcomes. But it's what they call multi-institutional center of innovation. We both had centers before this, but we were both pretty much working independently, our two research groups. And now under this new funding, we'll be able to work closely together and bring synergy to the kind of problems we're looking at. We have kind of three areas that we'll be looking at. One is the use of technology to help veterans with disabilities live out in the community and for longer periods of time before they would have to go to an ALF, assisted living, or institutional living. We have another focus area that's looking at community reintegration. So that's after people, the veteran has been in acute rehab, maybe the transitional care program, finding ways to help them live in the community, to reintegrate with work, family, school, whatever their goals are, to be, citizens of the community again. And then the third area has to do with informatics research, as well as figuring out better ways to measure outcomes for people with disabilities. Well, this is the best job I've ever had, that I get to work with veterans, and I get to do things that have a real effect on veterans' health care and in helping veterans improve their quality of life and other outcomes. So, I think that if you talk to anybody at the hospital, that's what keeps us, that's what brought us to the VA, that's what keeps us here, knowing that we're doing something beneficial, for veterans who have given so much, for our country.
Jack, you can't not be here and not come away moved, not only by the professional care that our veterans get, but just the compassion and the technology that's being deployed. And we've got some of these young men and women that are coming back with some horrific injuries.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the best chance that they have for a normal life in facilities like this. But this one is in Tampa, and I couldn't be prouder of the work that they are doing here.
And this thing, of course, I've been around here for over 40 years now. But having come here back in the 70s at the Haley Center, and then just going up and visiting patients, and it was really small back then, but the way this campus has grown is incredible. I mean, it has become a huge campus. It's a huge facility, and as the director was telling us, no place to go but up, because they've run out of space on the footprint. But boy, the work they're doing now, it just from year to year grows almost exponentially.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that they have to do it, but they really are setting the standard for particularly the traumatic brain injuries and the polytrauma and all the things that we're seeing coming out of Iraq and Afghanistan. And these young men and young women are getting world-class treatment right here in Tampa, Florida, right here at the Haley's Veterans Hospital. We're going to host the wheelchair games.
Yeah, that's
July.
terrific.
Yeah.
That is terrific. That's a big, big thing. and I hope we get them back again, and I think they will. I think they'll love what they see here as Super Bowls and other people have, and said, let's do it again.
You know, and part of it is because we're a military town.
Yep.
And, you know, we love our military families and we love those servicemen. I mean, those are our sons and our daughters. When you think about MacDill Air Force Base and CENTCOM and SOCOM and all the other 20-plus entities and agencies that are housed there, this, I think, is the second most highest concentration of retirees in the country,
Yeah.
only behind San Antonio.
Yeah, people come here, they've been stationed here, they love it, or they just want to retire here, they want to get here. Obviously, with MacDill Air Force Base here, that gives them an advantage. They can go to the BX and use the facilities, but they love living here.
They do indeed.
I don't blame them for that.
And they get great care here at Haley's.
Oh, they certainly do. What a fantastic place.
So you've been on vacation, you
Oh,
slacker.
yeah, I was all over the place, from Colorado Springs to Mount Rushmore to Chicago to New Orleans, and finally home again, thank goodness.
They tried to get me to co-host for you, but even getting up at 3 o'clock is a little much for me, especially when I have to get up and look at Ted Webb at 3:30 in the morning or 4 o'clock, whatever time you get there.
It helps to have Corey, though.
Yeah,
Kind of balances
that
it a little
certainly
bit.
balances.
Kind of like the Beauty and the Beast that I work with.
Yeah, there's not enough
every
coffee
day.
in the world that makes Ted look good at 4 o'clock in the morning.
No way. You know, you got a lot of great things that are going on in town now. And while I was away, I read that we might be getting a Trader Joe's, which would be in South Tampa.
That's what the rumor, I can't confirm because I have to kill you, but by the time this show airs, there may be confirmation. You know, Trader Joe's has been kicking tires around town for a while, as has a number of other of the big chains. There is some speculation that I can't confirm nor deny that a Trader Joe's is looking at a site on Dale Mabry, South Dale Mabry. And if we get it, I think that would be a big shot in the arm for South Tampa.
Oh, yes. Yeah, people will love that. And the other thing that I'm excited about is that, let's see, what do you call it, a loft?
A loft hotel, right?
Yeah, because I've called it a loft,
Yeah,
and
me
I've
too,
stayed there
me
before
too.
for years, but it's a loft.
Right.
And it's going to be right there at the corner of Ashley and Kennedy.
Yep.
Going across the bridge. What a great facility that is for that, right on the river there.
Another boutique hotel to go along with the federal courthouse. We just kicked off the last stage of the Riverwalk. 6 mayors, 40 years in the making.
That was impressive.
Yeah.
That was really something, and it was a great idea. You had bringing them all there together.
Well, they all deserve
on
part of the
last
credit.
phase.
You know, I just happen to be the guy who's finishing it, but Billy Poe was the guy that started it. And so
Yeah.
all of us over that 40-year span did something to push that ball down the field. By Thanksgiving of next year, that Riverwalk will be done, and we will have 2 miles of uninterrupted Riverwalk that I think is a game changer for downtown.
Oh, it's going to be great for jogging, for walking, and it's so diverse. That's what I love. I mean, obviously the quintessential Riverwalk is the one in San Antonio, but there's not a lot of scenery or anything there. I mean, it's just fantastic for shops and hotels and restaurants and things like that, but ours is going to be so scenic and so diverse from one end to the other, all the different things you're going to see. I mean, from the minarets to overlooking across to Harbor Island, and even get a look at some phosphate plants along the way. But with Cote and Chovy Park on one end and Curtis Hickson on the other, it's really going to be remarkable.
Exciting times.
Yep.
And don't you forget, this is Tampa's turn. So stay with us. We're going to see you again next month. Jack, as always, thank you for making me look good here and carrying me throughout
That's
this show.
impossible.
And the next time you see a veteran, make sure you tell them thank you. All right?
Absolutely.
Take care and God bless.